Kia ora nui, kia kurahi e te ti e te tā, tēnā koutou. He mihi nui ki ngā mana whenua o te rohi nei, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. E te rangatira, e Ngāti Mutunga, e te maunga o Taranaki, e tākuta, tēnā koe. Kia tātou kua hui hui mai nei, nau mai, haere mai, whakatau mai. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Well, my name is Matt Raymond, and welcome to episode number 300 of Der Church Radio.
And I am Eugene Bingham. We have made it.
We have, and we're back at the Small God... What's it called again? Small God's Tap Room. Sorry, I didn't want to get it wrong. In Mount Eden for this very special event, this co-production live show with Inia Raumati, aka Ultra Maori Doctor, in support of Kia Mau Kia Ora. Welcome, Inia.
Kia ora, thank you for having me.
Yeah, here we are. We've been bullied into this, all of us, by amazing work that Vicky does. But so this live show here, we couldn't be here without some amazing and critical supporters, including, of course, Small God's Tap Room, Mānuka Performance, UFOS, which we practiced how to say that beforehand, Curran's, Mānuka Performance, and, of course, Huntaway Runco. The live stream also is being run by Runners with Beards. Cheers to you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, come on, we can do better than that. Let's give him a...
And as I mentioned, we want to give a huge shout out to Vicky Lim, Inia's fiancée, who he's probably swearing at in his own head at the moment for putting him into this situation. But an absolute force of nature who basically came up with this idea and then organised the shit out of us. So tēnā koe e hoa.
So for you lucky little buggers here in the room, we've got some spot prizes to give away. So we have 6 sets of That's It swag, which is anti-chafe wool, first aid gel and lip balm, 4 Mānuka Performance liquid fuels. And if you look under your seats, benches and tables now, if you have a sticker on it that says yay, you've won the That's It kit. If you have a yum, you've won a Mānuka, and you can go see Vicky at the end of the show.
Rigged.
Yay!
Yeah, so hang on to those and go and see Vicky after the show. But we've got more.
Yeah, we've got more. And I mean, that's it. I will buy That's It stuff off you because it's that good. But we've got some giveaways for the end of the night. So we have 1 times UFOS Jandals slide/clog. And that we will get that at the end. We'll pass who we decide wins. That's a subjective one, isn't it?
Oh, no, that's a random draw.
Close your eyes and point.
Just pull out some popcorn.
We'll throw a dart into the crowd.
We're going to number the popcorn.
Okay. And for best, we've got a question and answer at the end. So everyone likes a competitive question and answer, especially Eugene. He's been talking about it for weeks, answering your questions. So the best questions get 3 boxes, not pills, of Currans, a Huntaway Runco tee, and a pair of Huntaway Runco shorts separately. So get your thinking caps on. But first, we should crack into it. Inia, tell us first of all, I mean, this year you're on a mission to run 8 self-supported multi-stage races on 8 continents. I think what all of us here want to know is what were you thinking? Like, what possessed you? I mean, I live quite close to you, and I could have saved you probably thousands of kilometres and dollars, and you could have just rung me up and I'd come around and kick you in the nuts 8 times in 1 year. I mean, where did the idea come from? How did you think of it?
I'm just getting fucking old, actually, really. So. No. Look, we've been thinking about it for a while, and then it's been something on my radar, wanting to start up a scholarship to give back to some of the young kids and stuff that had a bit of a rough time at school like I did. And I had this idea for years about doing this 8 challenge, and then just never really got off my ass to do it. And then, like you say, for better or worse, I met Vicky, and she just sort of told me to either do it this year or not do it because I'm getting old. And there's nothing better than a bit of harsh reality. So, yeah, you can only do a rundown in Antarctica every 2 years. And with all the Antarctic treaties and stuff that are going on, it's probably not going to be able to run down there for much longer. So it was like, either do it now or don't do it at all. So work was in a good space. You know, I could manage to scab off work. So, yeah, we hit it and just didn't really think about the cost or anything else at the time until you're sort of already, too deep to get out.
Too deep to get out. Yeah, sure are. Hell, right. So, I mean, you mentioned Kia Mau, Kia ora, the foundation that you guys have set up, and I'm sure lots of people in the room are familiar with it, but for anyone who's not, just tell us a bit more about it, what it's about and why you've set it up and what you're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, so Kia Mau, Kia ora is basically a sort of a charity that we, like I said, I've been thinking about for quite a long time, and it was more about encouraging kids who are in those last couple of years of school. A lot of us are lucky. We've either got really supportive friends or family, or you've got really supportive teachers and stuff at school. A lot of kids in New Zealand don't have either, and they sort of get written off a little bit. Myself, I was written off by school. I was just lucky to have good parents. And
what did the headmaster say to you?
So the headmaster, to be fair, I have to be careful now. I just found out that his daughter is getting married to a guy I know. But it was a bit awkward considering when I was having a leaving interview at school, his advice to me was not to end up in jail. So, I didn't really sort of take that too well at the time and went to university and wasted a bit of time. But, I didn't really have much direction. And I guess it was only because my parents were supportive that I went off and did other things. So what we're trying to do with the scholarship is identify not those kids that are going to succeed anyhow, because they don't need our help. But we're looking for, the ones that have potential but just don't have anyone there to encourage them or support them. So we're going to make them, it's directional, eh? Yeah, so we're going to make them, or we're going to encourage them to do a stage race. So they have to train for it. They have to we'll support them for all that and all the encouragement to get on with it. And then we're going to leave them to it, and they can sink or swim. And I guess they'll learn a lot about themselves, like everybody that does a multi-stage race. For better or worse, it brings out your underlying sort of character. And I think it'll demonstrate to them that they can do a lot more than what people have told them they can do. I mean, you take your average sort of 17, 18-year-old kid and say, hey, we're going to make you run 250 Ks over 6 days. Oh, and by the way, you have to carry everything in your pack. Not many of them are going to say, oh, yeah, I can do that. But I reckon they can. And then once they've done that, we're going to help mentor them through to whatever career they want to do. So we've got people lining up to mentor these kids. If they want to go to medical school, man, we'll get you in. If they want to, go off and do a trade, we've got people lining up to, if you can prove that you can do something like that, there's people out there that will give you a job. Simple as that. So that's what we're aiming to do, and we're kicking off next year, and we've been raising money for it this year.
I just want a bonus question. What are some of the challenges? I mean, it's a challenge, right? What are some of the things, and we wish you all the success, but standing in your way of getting Kia Mau, Kia ora up?
I think it's the Kiwi attitude a little bit. When we first sort of broached it at the start of the year, sort of started up the Give a Little page, there was the attitude in New Zealand of oh, bullshit, you're not going to do that. That sort of Kiwi thing that, people can't sort of achieve things. So people weren't really keen to get on board. There was also that sort of little bit of cynicism. Oh, Jesus, can't use big words.
Cynicism.
That's the one. About where sort of money for the scholarship was going. So we don't touch any of it. So everything that we do and all these races and stuff have been paid for by our mortgage broker. Thank you very much. But all the money and stuff and everything we've raised from clothing and stuff that we've sold specifically for it goes to scholarship. And now that you've sort of got 6 races down, more people are getting interested. They're like, well, hey, technically, you're going to set a world record if you finish, touch wood, in 2 more races. And now we're getting people that are interested in, sort of donating money and getting on board. So hopefully it'll just keep picking up speed now.
Yeah, well, we hope that too. And look, moving from the challenge of setting up a foundation and trying to navigate, optimism in New Zealand in 2024.
Taking on the easy stuff.
Taking on the easy stuff first. We'll go with systemic racism, but I'd like to talk about ultra running. So far, you've run 6 1,693 kilometres this year in races alone, but running's only part of it. Can you just talk us through the logistics a bit? Pulling it all together and getting to places is quite another. Tell us what that looks like.
It really helps to have a younger fiancée, and she does most of it for me. Well, that's the truth of it.
You've killed the pacing of this podcast. No, but I mean, there's so many Instagram videos of you lying on your floor with your animals, like dehydrating vegetables into a bag or whatever. Like, what does that? How do you fit that stuff in? What's the planning look like? You're heading to a race. What's your window?
It's quite the logistics side of it. Probably is one of the harder things. New Zealand we're at the bottom, and we're bloody really far away from everybody else in the world. Like even the Australia race that's coming up next.
To be fair, that shouldn't have been a surprise to you.
No, it shouldn't have been a surprise, but it's just like it's really hard for us to get anywhere, and then you usually like 2 to 3 day travel to get anywhere, and then you've got a race, and then a couple of days to get back. So with work, it's just been a nightmare. So the only way I could get leave to do most of the stuff was to swap into really shit shifts at work. So like I typically come and do like night shifts for people, and then come back and do night shifts, and logistically wise, it's pretty awful, really. But that's all part of the fun.
Yeah, sure sounds like it. You've had some redonkulous turnarounds in between races. What's the shortest?
Yeah, so it started off really well. Like at the start of the year, I did one down south in New Zealand, and I had like 5 weeks to the next one, and then I was just going back through the races, and I was like, why was I so knackered after by number 4? But it went from like 5 weeks to 3 weeks down to 2 weeks at one stage. So, I had a race in Peru, and then literally had to turn around, fly back to New Zealand because there's no sort of cheap or direct way to get over to remain. Was it Mongolia? Yeah. So like within 2 weeks, I was racing again in Mongolia. So I think I was back in New Zealand for like 3 or 4 days or something before heading off again.
1 day.
Oh, 1 day. There we go. I thought it was 3 or 4 days, so 1 day.
So that's when you say between races, that's like you finish the race, you've got to get from wherever you are in the middle of nowhere in Peru to the airport to fly back to New Zealand for 1 day and then hop back on a plane to get back to wherever you're going in Mongolia, which doesn't sound like a direct flight.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And that was the cheapest way of doing it. Like literally it was cheaper to come all the way back to New Zealand than try to find your way over to Mongolia.
I was going to make no, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. 300 shows, it's worked. The frontal lobe's kicked in. But look, tell us about, I was going to make a joke like what's Grima Ulaanbaatar or like Blenheim Airport, but I don't think, does Blenheim have an airport?
I think you just did.
Yeah, I did. There we go. You'd be disappointed if I didn't. But look, you've come prepared for a bit of a show and tell. You've got your pack here. Can you just talk us through what you carry with you? Because this is the thing, isn't it? They're self-supported stage races. It's not like you're having your gear muled or sherped between stages. Talk us through what you carry and any tips you might have for multi-day stage racing. And for those at home on the live stream, this bag smells exactly how you think it would. Crack into it.
Yes, I suppose that's the biggest difference is when you look at it, 250 Ks for people that run ultras is probably not a humongous distance. I say that was sort of tongue-in-cheek, but people run that in a single race, but the thing is, no one gives you anything. So besides from at the aid station checkpoints where they give you water, they don't give you anything at all. They will provide some sort of thing to sleep under sometimes. The race in Peru, they didn't even give us a tent. You had to carry your own hammock and string that up between some posts at the end of the day. So everything else you have to have on your back. So typically at the start of the race, I'd find my pack would weigh somewhere about 9 to 10 kilograms. And I went for a smaller pack, sort of 20 litres, because I found if I took a 30-litre pack, all I'd do was fill it with more food.
Hang on, food's important and useful, especially if you're carrying all your food, between stages. So what sort of food are you cracking into?
Well, I've got a sample day of what I sort of eat in here in a plastic bag, and I can give that to somebody if they want to. Just don't give it to the dog. But so literally, you'd have a couple of dehydrated meals, good old cheap 2-minute noodles, cup of soups, other sort of electrolyte drinks and snacks, and that would be there what you'd eat in a day. And you'd carry, 6.5 of those. So
That doesn't look like a lot.
it's quite a bit of calories. I always carry the 2-minute noodles because sometimes, with the heat and the rough conditions of that, you really can't stomach food, so you've got to have a backup. So I found that, even
2-minute noodles, not food.
yeah, so even with really good sort of New Zealand sort of meals, like dehydrated meals and stuff like that, real meals, sometimes you just can't stomach anything. But I found that no matter how sick you are, you can still drink a miso soup and eat 2-minute noodles. So one race, I literally sort of gave away or got rid of most of my food and just lived on 2-minute noodles for a week.
Is it like boarding school, you're trading food with people?
Well, you're sort of not really. Some races are really strict, so some races won't let you trade food. Some races people don't really know, but because food's a huge thing because calories equals weight. So you could eat like a king and race really fast with energy, but then you'd be carrying it, and it's obviously weight, and that slows you down. So you got to get that right balance. So the people that are really fast, like the elite runners, will carry less food. And just travel really lightly because they're not out there as long. But you're talking about the difference of some days of the top runners being out there for 4 or 5 hours in the sun, and the back of the pack has been out there for 15 and stuff. So if you're going to be out there that long, you need more electrolytes, you need more food.
Does that mean, though, and this is a serious question, that if you are an elite runner and you're out there for 4 hours and you're sort of at camp hungry by yourself for longer?
I guess I wouldn't know. I was never up with those fellas.
I seem to recall there was a trophy brought home from somewhere, but we can carry that on.
Oh, yeah, but if you...
Is it in the bag?
No, it's not in the bag. But the key with ultra running is if you stay in the game long enough, sooner or later you'll win an age category. Other people die off occasionally. So then the rest of the stuff was just what you expect. I took minimal of everything, one set of clothes that you run in, no spare undies, no spare pads, nothing. I'd take one extra pair of socks just in case you blow out a pair. And then all the rest of it is your sleeping bag, your sleeping mat, eating utensils, whatever compulsory crap they want you to take. Every race wants you to take a compass. What's the use of a compass if you haven't got a map or know where you are? Because you don't know where you are. So I don't really understand that. I've raised that a lot, but they still want me to carry a compass so I can be happy when I'm lost.
I'm pointing north in Mongolia.
Exactly. It's you're going north, great. You're in the great Mongolian plains. You could go north, south, east or west for 400 or 500 k's. You still wouldn't come across civilization. And the only other big tip I have is I keep a specialised poop bag on the outside of my pack, which is awesome. Colour-coded, so you don't use it for anything else, because that's a really big thing. Toilet paper in it and hand sanitizer. And no doubt we'll talk about pooping at some stage.
We've actually got several questions.
Several questions?
Yeah. Several questions.
That's a special breakout episode. Goes for 4 hours. Sorry, can I just clarify, was that full or empty?
It's still got some toilet paper in it, yeah.
So what's the one thing that if you had to do it all again, or you're heading into your next races, have you refined it as you've gone along? Is there anything that one thing that you've taken along that you wish you hadn't, probably the compass, and one thing that you hadn't taken that you wish you had?
You do sort of get down packed to what suits you. You get kit down to what suits you. The one big mistake once I made was not taking a sleeping mat, and that was a fucking horrible idea. Because then you couldn't sleep, literally, you were cold and you're up all night. And it was me trying to save weight, and that was just a really dumb idea. The other really good thing that I've learnt to carry, besides from the toilet paper, is Imodium and some other drugs at times. Just to really, yeah. Most people, if they're going to pull out of an ultra, it'll be either problems with their feet or problems with their bowels. And that's the reality of the race, blisters or bowels.
You got to, yeah. What's Mongolian for the pyramid? You don't want to have to find out, right? So,
And if only you had some durable running kit as well. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Vicky is, giving stabbing eyes towards us.
What, in terms of my kit?
Like you.
Oh, this stuff. Yeah. No, well, that was half of the thing this year as well. I was like, we designed our own running kit because I got sick of shit that broke. So I've been wearing the same pair of shorts. I won't pass those around for the whole 6 races so far. And they've held together, so that's just, that was a little project of mine in terms of designing stuff, and it worked out quite well, yeah.
Let's go through some of the races. You started out at Southern Lakes Ultra, and you had a bit of a curveball thrown at you at the start, didn't you, or during that race?
Yeah, Southern Lakes was quite cool. Really nice race, and it was a bit of a piss take to do it, like 8 continents, because New Zealand's a continent now, which is awesome.
Woo.
So we did that, and I was going into it thinking quite lightly of it and just take it as the first easy race of the year. But I got, on the last day, I was just like really struggling, feeling quite rough. I wanted to put the hammer down to try to jump up in the play scene and stuff. And then next thing I know, at the prize giving that night, I got really sick and ended up at home, and I'd caught COVID during the race. So, and even I know you're not supposed to exercise when you've got COVID, but yeah, well, it's only 30-odd Ks to go, so bugger it. But that really set me back, so I only had 5 weeks till my next race, and I never recovered, and I was really crook at the start of the next one over in Africa, of all places, which was, the heat there was getting up into like the high 40s and stuff, so they were thinking of cancelling the race, and here I was recovering from COVID and still sweating, just getting off the bus, let alone into the 40-plus heat. So.
I mean, and this is the thing, isn't it? It's basically you're assaulting every bodily system that you have all the time on an almost monthly basis, running in some huge extremes. I mean, apart from Africa, what was the most difficult, or what was the most difficult conditions that you've coped with, and how did you cope?
You cope by just telling your brain to shut up. I've sort of developed that over the time. Like you say, like all your body hurts and you're just assaulting everything, and it's just a matter of how much you want to finish in the end. Like I just really ignore stuff. Hello, Foxy. And just tell my brain that, your body can do it. It's done it before, so just ignore it a little bit. And, there's always dialysis to fix your kidneys afterwards. But Peru was pretty rough, just because you were sleeping in hammocks. People were hopping out of their hammocks, they'd tip their shoes out and the snake would come out and stuff like that. And you're in the jungle and that. But I actually, with the humidity, found it actually quite nice. So, I don't know, I still say Africa with the heat was the worst of them all until I sort of got to Grand, which we finished about 3 weeks ago. That was pretty rough.
What was rough about that?
Because the cheeky buggers made it 275 Ks instead of 250 for a start. But I, in my immaculate sort of planning with races, I didn't really pay much attention that you're actually at... you fly in and you start the race at 1,600 metres and you're racing between 1,600 and 2,000 metres the whole race. So I never went early to acclimatise because I had work. So I just flew in, and for the first couple of days I was like, why do I feel nauseous? Why am I not sleeping that well? And it's just like, oh yeah, you're an idiot.
You mean to tell me that living on the foothills of the Riverhead forest, it's
You said Riverhead. Look, you've started them up.
Is that what they do?
Yeah.
Hey, at least it's better than what they did during the Between Two Beers podcast.
Oh, yeah, Doug, shame.
I was in that studio the other week, and they're still talking about it.
What'd your dog do?
Um,
On Aotearoa's most popular podcast, second to this one. What?
Well,
Second
Doug,
most.
as most of the runners here know, he's a bit of a frequent flyer when he comes in, but he's quite sick. And unfortunately, the medications make him fart, and they're quite horrendous. So we're in Between Two Beers, brand new little tiny little sound booth type thing, and he's under the desk, and he's just dropping these silent but really awful. And the podcasters were sort of looking at each other and it's like, don't worry, it's the dog. It's not me, it's not you, it's all good.
Well, apparently at the end, I was told that Seamus said that 7 of the 8 were Doug.
And they couldn't rank them either. But look, how is it? How is that? You know, the altitude going up to 1,600 meters above sea level when the highest point where we live is 171 meters above sea level. How rough is that?
Well, I guess it's funny because I didn't really realise it on the first day, and I was just running, and I was actually running reasonably quickly, and I was thinking, this is like not bad. I don't know what's going on. It might be a real slow race. Maybe there's heaps of old people in it. And then I just felt really, really rough, and I didn't know why, and I just put it down to too many races and fatigue. But no, it was all actually altitude. After 3 days, I started to feel a lot better. Because once you can sleep and you can eat, then you're good. You're golden. But for 3 days I was pretty rough. So, yeah.
There's that video of you and they're like, yay, it's Inia from New Zealand. Do you want to say anything? And you're like, no. And you just walked past her and just kept going.
Yeah, to be fair, I got a lot of shit for that, actually. But, yeah, I mean, who wants to interview at the end of a long stage? I mean, I'd come... because they staggered the long stage, and luckily enough I wasn't fast enough to be in the delayed start, but it just meant that for the whole day there was me and another runner were basically at the front, and we're running through the dark, and I got to the last 10 Ks and I completely bonked. For some reason I just couldn't eat, couldn't drink. And when you're at that stage where you're in trouble and you're just sort of staggering a bit sideways and you haven't got that far to go, but 10 Ks out of 80, and I was just like, this is really hurting. And I just kept on pushing and walking and getting through to the finish and just really crossed the line in like another world. And this lady comes up and wants to hug me and stuff, and she is, the race test, the race director and stuff. It was going on about something we're live streaming, and it didn't click in my brain at the time. I didn't know what she was on about. And she's like, do you want to say something? I was like, nah. I just walked off. I was looking for the medical tent. I just wanted to sit down and just have something to drink. But I got like all these comments about the grumpy doctor or some shit on their podcast. So I felt really bad about it the next day because I wasn't meaning to be rude, but it's just when you're racing like that and you're on the edge, and if you've done stuff before and shit, I am on the edge this time, then, it was close between like collapse, finish sort of stuff, so...
We were surprised, weren't we, Matt, when we saw that video, because at UTA, Ultra Trail Australia, when Inia came across the finish line, he was so friendly and chatty. He just hung around for ages, wanted to chit-chat with us. We were like, go away, leave us alone.
Yeah, it's a theme. You're not fooling anyone. I mean, your bedside manner is wonderful, but...
To be clear, he came flying across the finish line. We were like, mate... Where's he gone? He just disappeared on us, bailed. So, yeah, you've got form, buddy.
Thank you.
Look, you've mentioned that there are sleeping arrangements at these races. Sorry, that sounded worse than I intended. But what is it like? What is the setup at these races between the days? What are you hanging around, playing cards? What? Tell us a bit of what goes on in camp.
Well, it's hard. It's a really mixed bag. Like, you can hit the jackpot with your tent mates, or you can really sort of draw the suffer card. How do you say this nicely?
What do you look for in an ideal tent mate?
Someone that doesn't snore and just shuts the fuck up at times. But yeah, like some people are really like, I don't know. We all got different personalities. Some people like to race, you have a bit of a chat, and then you just be quiet because everybody's tired. And nobody likes that one person in the tent that's constantly talking, especially if they're moaning about how sore they are. Because face it, we're all sore. And if you're sore at 20 years younger than I am, I'm fucking sorer than you are. So I don't really want to hear about it constantly. And we've had some really great, I've made some great friends from all over the world, and we have an awesome time whenever we catch up and stuff. But some other people, I think, do some of this stuff maybe for the wrong reasons, or just want to tell everybody about their lives. I don't know. There's some people that just snore awfully. It's bad enough when you're a tent, but if you're in like an open air thing when everyone's got hammocks, so you literally got these poles, right, and there's these hammocks that spread off the poles like a spoke in like one of those old-fashioned wagon wheels. If there's one person that snores really hot, the whole bloody place is awake. Like one guy got so angry, he went over and like fucking kicked this guy's hammock with a minute. It was just like, shut that F up, and the rest of it was hilarious, but probably not what you want.
So presumably you carry earplugs.
No, I never have, because I know I snore, so...
And that's right, you didn't specify which hammock got kicked, did you?
No. As long as I'm snoring out the top end, you're lucky. Because you put about 4 or 5 days of dehydrated food in there, and it's coming out the other as well. So,
Well, speaking about food, how is it? Not so much what you're carrying, but also, I'm thinking the Mongolian cheese board here.
yeah. So I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm also sort of really conscious about local sort of traditions and stuff, and I try to be respectful to the local people as much as possible. And we're running through this rural area of Mongolia, and this little kid comes running up to me, and he's got this thing that looks like some, well, it basically was really hard cheese and a biscuit, quite sort of like a bit bendy, lots of goat cheese apparently, and his dad had sent him over to feed me. And you're allowed to take stuff like that in the race because it's part of the tradition and stuff. And it's just like, I had that moment in my head. It's like, shit, what do I do? And it's just like, you had no choice, so you ate it. And then it just got really interesting for the next 10 to 20 Ks, but that's okay.
I feel like I got the short straw here. I mean, you did the majority of the work on the outline, but this brings me to the next point. And, I mean, you touched on it before with this guy. And I'll hold that because this is...
It's also on your shirt.
Yeah, it is on your shirt. It's one of the 4 pillars of running, isn't it, I guess? Or 4 pillars of life, which brings us to the next point. I mean, you're quite open about the ablution situation, be it an emergency evacuation or a planned scenario. And we've recently had an episode where we discussed, when the donkey is kicking down the door. But what are your hot tips to ensure efficient, discreet resolution of these kind of issues? Dr. Raumati.
Well, I do find it hilarious. Like, there's a lot of people that do like these sort of like they run for different things. They do these social media stuff. They like these pretty pictures of them stuff doing anything, and nobody wants to discuss the brutal truth of pooping without shitting in your pants. And that's really what it comes down to. Because if you've only carrying one pair of pants and one pair of like liners, you do not want to poop in them. I've seen people
Especially on day one.
Especially on day one. I've seen people do it
on the bus.
I've seen a lady in an ultra who decided to wear all white, which is never a good idea. But literally, some of the toilets and stuff on races are horrendous. They can range from like porta potties in New Zealand, because I guess health and standards, conditions, to like in Mongolia and stuff. They literally just dig a trench in the ground, and they put a plank of wood, if you're lucky, either side, and you stand on that, and you do your dump.
How thick's the plank?
Oh, just like these. Oof. Just like these on either side, and there'll be like a bit of a sack curtain that will come up to about waist height. So when you stand up in the morning, it's like, hey bro, how you doing? Oh, I'm having a good shit, yeah. And you want to get in early because obviously the trench starts to fill up.
We know how that works
as the day goes on. But the key I've found is, because being old, I struggle to squat down, is to take your pants completely off. And and hang them up on the side. So people will see your pants hanging on the side, they know that one's occupied. But it's also, there's no chance then of you dropping a bit of splashback down the back of your pants.
So you go full Donald Duck?
Yeah, full, yeah.
Do you ever go full George Costanza and take your shirt off as well?
I've never heard that one. No, I don't go full George Costanza, no.
Next question, Eugene Bingham.
Yeah, let's move along. Now, we love a good wild animal story at DCR. Always have, always will, Matt, I assume. So, look, you've had some good encounters. You've got a couple of good doggos at home. But in Romania, you came across a pack of not-so-friendly doggos. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah, I think actually that's... I don't worry about stuff or get, too freaked out too easily, but I think I was literally a hair breadth about getting mauled. Looking back at it, and it was a pretty sort of borderline situation. So we'd learnt that when your hair bells on cows and stuff, typically there's a farmer somewhere and there'll be dogs. So they leave those big dogs out there to protect them. And you just want to stay away, you know, because these things are used to fighting bears and stuff, so they're not going to think twice about you. So I heard these bells and I was like running off, and a couple of dogs came over, and I'm used to dogs. I was like, yeah, it's all good, fellas, you know, take it easy, because they're just barking at me stuff. And I just let them follow me for a bit. I was just heading down, and next thing, about 8 of their mates showed up, and I was like, oh, shit. And they got really aggro. When the lead one showed up, I was in trouble. So I sort of was backing up towards a tree. I sort of had like my racing poles out in front, and these guys were nipping at me, and I was reaching for the bear spray, like the mace that they give you at the start of the race. And then there was this dude running down the hill, and he was still quite a fair way away, this farmer, with an axe in his hand, yelling in God knows what language. And the dogs weren't listening to him, and I was yelling at him, going like, mate, I'm going to like mace your dogs. But I literally thought, like, if that lead one if one of them had got you and you'd gone down, she would have been all over. And I think that's the closest I've ever come to like having a serious incident at an ultra. And even after mentioning it to the race directors, like, they went and hunted down this guy and had a chat to him about his dogs and stuff like that. But it was just part of the, I suppose, the risk over in rural Romania and that. I mean, the rest of the race was great, you know, but yeah, that was a pretty hairy situation, that one.
Yeah, sounds pretty terrifying. What other animals have you come across? Did you actually see any bears? Have you seen any other things like snakes and stuff?
No, I almost got mistaken for a bear. I was having a poop, as you do, and I was off the trail, so I ran fast.
We've moved past that question.
Well, I sort of put a bit of space on some people that were running with me because I wanted to go off because I really needed to go into the bush. And then, like, you know, you're making so much racket at times you're coming through, you can see people reaching for their spray, and they give you fireworks to throw to make a thing. And so I'm yelling out, it's like, yeah, not a bear, it's just me, you know, don't have to. But no, seen some snakes in Peru. Most of them were dead because the guys would go through first in the morning and sort of like cut the heads off the ones that were leaning over the track, which is always good to see. Tarantulas and Grand to Grand, dead snakes again. I was really gutted I never saw like a live rattlesnake. Or a live bear. Some other runners, a bear ran between them, but between their groups, but I wasn't fortunate enough, no.
I bet you didn't see a mountain lion.
No, I don't think anyone does until...
You never do.
Yeah.
They see you though. It's not just the running, and this is the part. You could say, oh well, this guy's kind of gadding off around the world, but you touched on it before. I mean, you're working. You work full time, and there's a lot to cope with. You're also, you know, you're coming back and going to work, literally, aren't you? And you're doing night shifts. And for anyone who doesn't know what your job is, you're an emergency medic at Auckland Hospital. How's that going? Seems pretty chill at the moment.
Yeah. No. Oh, it is what it is. It's pretty rough work at the moment. It's been pretty rough ever since COVID, I think. The healthcare system, everybody knows the healthcare system's in the shit at the moment. Even if, you know, politicians don't want to admit it, the whole thing's broken down. So, and emergency medicine's just really not very quite fashionable, and it's always understaffed. So, you come back and you're just used to getting hammered at work with workload and stuff, and it doesn't help when you come off the plane or whatever and you go straight into your shift, but that's just the way it is. Stopping. I'm 50 now, so I'm quitting knife shifts at the end of this year. So finally, I've done enough. So it'll be good for the old body. But
what do you call it? I mean, it's funny. Do you ever look at like corporate workspaces where someone goes out and does an ultra and they come back and their colleagues have decorated their desk and they've got Ferrero Rocher, and Inia, you are loved and appreciated, and you get back to work and they're like, yeah, you've got the prolapsed anus in room 4. I mean, is it like that? Are they supportive? Do they care?
I don't think work in terms of management really cared, but the more...
Careful.
But I guess the more that... the scholarship's giving a bit of momentum and their words getting out, they're sort of becoming a bit more supportive, which is good. The nurses and the other staff and the ED, the healthcare assistants, all of these other people, and they love it. I guess they appreciate when you come into work and you're sort of limping around a bit, you know, they know you've been up to something good. And they help you out a lot when you're sort of like, hey, Doc, can you come see this person over in this room? It's like, nah, that room's too far away. I'll go see the next one. But, no, they love it.
Are you ever like tempted to, there's a patient and maybe they haven't got the worst condition. You're like, mate, I've just been flying across the world, suffering, being attacked by dogs, having tarantulas nipping at my heels. Harden up.
Yeah, actually, the official answer, in case there is anyone from the District Health Board here, is no, I never do that. The unofficial answer is when you see stuff, I don't know what people are thinking sometimes, actually, when they show up, but like when you see people that have showed up because they've stubbed their toenail or someone's got sunburn.
You pull your shoe off, there are no toenails.
Yeah, we have had people show up with blisters. And I've been really tempted to go out there and take my socks off and say, that's not a fucking blister. This is but no, it's just different things for different people, I guess, but it does get quite funny.
For them. Inia, look, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Thank you for, all the amazing content that we're seeing as we follow your journey. You've sort of taken us on the trip with you, as it were, and we've really enjoyed the ride. We've really enjoyed having you along tonight. You're off to Western Australia in 2 weeks, I believe. Wow, 2 weeks, it seems ages. Heaps of training to fit in. In case people don't know, how can they support Kia Mau, Kia ora? Where do they, contribute? What can they do?
The simplest thing is there's like a give a little page is what we have, and all the money from that, like I don't see any of it, I don't touch it. It all just goes straight to the scholarship, and that's the way we've been keeping it all the way through. And then, like, at some stage, with all those people that I sort of run across all the time, when we get these kids going through and stuff, we will be looking for people for mentoring and stuff like that as well, Not all kids want to go through and, be doctors. I mean, shit, I wouldn't after what I've been through. And there's a lot of people out there just need some direction and some support. And the ultra running community and runners in general are really good for that, we've found. So, we'll be hunting people down.
Yeah. And we've had the link for the Give a Little page in the show notes for the whole year, so you can find it there if anyone needs to do it. I'm sure. I think you can just Google it and you come across it. So do it if you haven't been there, please. And thanks to everyone for coming along tonight, because all proceeds from tonight and the live stream as well are going direct to the foundation. So thanks to you all as well.
So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Please, a big, round, warm round, my brain's broken, of applause for Inia Raumati and Vicky. Kia mau, kia ora.
Thank you.
Now we come to the part of the show. Your tormentor's over. You can.
Oh, you go?
Yeah, you hop down.
I don't have to answer any questions or anything?
Nah, you don't.
Sweet. I thought it was going to be like...
But you're going to be on a hot mic, so don't cuss us out when you get it.
Well, we will have questions from the floor from, so you might have to come back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get you back.
Okay.
Okay, you can take your pack, though.
Take my beer?
Take your beer.
Do you want a snack?
Yeah, I do. But has anyone got any boiling water?
Those 2-minute noodles look really good.
They do. Hey, what flavour, by the way? That's one thing I didn't ask. Is it you going like Dirty Maggi? Are you going... Right.
Basic Dirty Maggi, chicken.
Chicken. Yeah.
Dirty Maggi. All right.
No chickens were harmed in the making of these. No.
Yeah.
Right. We come to the part of the show where we turn the mic onto our mate, the legend, the brains and 99% of the brawn behind Dirt Church Radio, Eugene Bingham, for a last chat before you stride off into the sunset. So please put your hands together for Eugene. Three hundred shows. Oh, Vox, hi, buddy. It's Riverhead, Forest, running. That was coincidence. 300 shows. We've known each other for a very, very long time, and in this time, I know that you'd rather have your teeth pulled than answer questions or draw attention to yourself, but you've kind of brought this on yourself, so you're just going to have to suffer for a little bit longer. And as in our 100th show, when I ambushed you with Sean Collins, I'd like to invite Andrew McDowell up from behind the wall of technology there to hold your arms while I get the pliers. We've actually got pliers. We've got 2 sets. Thanks, Tom, for those pliers. It saved us.
This means I get the snacks.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that
Open it up.
Is this one day?
That's one day. Let's have a look.
One day.
So six times that, eh?
Yeah.
Days. Yeah, okay. That's a lot to carry, eh?
Andrew's looking like I could do it in 2 hours. And he could. But look, Eugene, I mean, you wrote so movingly in the newsletter this week about how, you know, your last piece of the DCR newsletter, the difficulty of picking a favourite show, that it would be like picking one of your favourite pair of shoes or a favourite child or co-host. He didn't reciprocate there. I went to put my head and he moved away. But anyway, and on that, like, so Eugene Bingham, what has been your greatest show ever?
Yeah, well, like I said, I can't choose.
That's why I'm asking you.
All right. Well, I mean, there obviously are some favourites that stand out, and I'm not going to say them. No. Well, just by virtue of the fact that we had pursued him for so long, talking to Greg Hamilton was pretty cool. For those of you who don't know, we had been emailing him back and forth, well, mostly just back, not so much forth.
Does everyone know who Greg Hamilton is?
Barclays
marathon
finisher, and he'd, you know, well, I think it was actually you emailed us when he was doing Barclays the first time, going, "Hey, there's a Kiwi." Yeah. And then we hunted down an email and we got in touch with him. We didn't hear back from him, and then we finally did. And he didn't want to come on the show. Kept on saying he had nothing to say.
Yeah, but he'd say like, "Oh yeah, it's just this and this and this, but I haven't got anything to say."
Yeah.
But it's just all these things that sound really interesting.
Yeah.
4 years.
4 years. So when we actually finally got to talk to him this year, that was pretty cool. And
South
for
Islanders,
someone
man.
who'd been so reluctant to talk to us, he wouldn't shut up. In fact, we stopped recording and he went, "Is that it?" And we went, "Yeah." And he went, "Oh, you could ask me some more if you want." We went, "Okay." We turned it back on, didn't we?
He did leave his camera off the whole time, though.
He did. And then Matt Bixley emailed us afterwards and says, "You know that he bullshitted you the whole time, don't you?" But, you know.
Don't care.
Yeah.
We got him.
So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. But I've really enjoyed, you know, so many of the shows, genuinely. I will say there's one chat that I really, really enjoyed with someone who went really deep discussing a race and actually ended up saying more than they were allowed to. And so we haven't been able to broadcast it. That was one of my favourite chats. And so I'm sorry.
Can I just clarify now for the
say who-
podcast, like, if, you know, and we are still in email communication
Yes.
with this person.
Please.
It's a really good chat. And you're no longer, you know, it's 302 or 303. Can we use it?
Of course.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
I didn't want
yeah,
it to be
yeah,
like the
yeah.
time traveler's wife.
Yeah,
when you'd left,
absolutely.
but I still
Yeah,
saw.
if I might pop up. So no, that was good because it was an example of a chat where, and we had another couple. Yeah, we had a lot of them, but it was, you know, we actually get the chance to really dig deep into, you know, how somebody approached a race or their life story and get them to open up.
Is this recent?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't say.
No guessing.
No
For legal
guessing.
reasons, yeah, I'd have to smash over the head with this empty beer can. But yeah, no, that was fun. Anyway, next question.
There's been a lot
Are we
of...
done now?
No, we're not done. We're not even begun to get done. There's been a lot of highlights for you at Dirt Church Radio over the last 6 years. Too many highlights.
Has it?
Yeah. Too many highlights to me. I'm about to list them. No, what has been... what's the most unexpected thing that you've taken from 6 years of Dirt Church Radio?
Being called Matt so many times? You know, like at races and people are going, "Go Matt!"
Yeah, I've got Eugene a few times
Thanks.
there. There was a thing at the start where people could not tell us. I mean, our voices do sound quite similar, but people couldn't literally...
I don't know which of you was which.
Yeah.
Do you still?
Just the beard, eh? If you shave the beard off a bit.
No, that was an unexpected highlight. I guess, and I've mentioned this as well, is that and previously, and something I've written for tomorrow, that when we started, we expected a couple of our mates to listen. We expected our wives to listen. Neither of them have. Not pointing them out there, but anyway. But that was about it. And, within not very long, we discovered that there were lots of people who were listening, and about half of them were overseas. So that was a nice little unexpected discovery that through this medium of podcasting, we were able to connect not just ourselves, but each other, and that's the beautiful thing, is that it's a community, and it's not ever just been about us two muntering on. It's been about the community of Dirt Church, and that's why it's so wonderful that you're carrying on, because you are so dedicated to the service of that community. So, yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. Andrew, do you have any follow-up questions?
Yeah, so my job here is to lightly roast Eugene a little bit, because I need to get my numbers right, which is why I'm getting this out. So bear with me a second. So Eugene, in 2012, you ran a disgustingly fast 50k race called the Riverhead Adventures. I said Riverhead again, no dog. Okay. You ran it in a time of 3 hours and 49 minutes and 4 seconds. Which is disgusting, of course. And I never run that fast, by the way. I thought
it's the only race I ever won.
Yeah, that's what this DUV statistic page also pointed out. But no, but 11 months later, you ran your first 100k at Tarawera, and it took you over 14 hours. So the obvious question is, what the hell happened? Yeah. Did you have to go back for your seam seal jacket at the pub? What happened?
Oh, that hurts. Yeah, that hurts.
I'm here for.
Yeah, thanks. Well, a couple of things. One, I'm not sure if anyone remembers that run. It was Gary Rickton organised it, and it was on gravel. The whole thing was on the gravel roads of Riverhead. It wasn't on trail. I wasn't a trail runner at that point. The Tarawera 100k was my first kind of trail race. And
half of that's gravel, mate.
Well, okay. So the bit on the eastern Okataina, I actually went down the bank. Like, I was terrible at running on trail. And so I ran, the kind of trail gave way on me, and I slid down on my back all the way down. I thought I was going to the abyss. But,
okay, sounds...
So there was that.
So that's 10 minutes.
That was 10 minutes. But then also, because of that, probably, I thought, this is going to be a piece of cake. I'll be done, what was it? I'll be done
in 7 hours.
I'll be done in 7 hours.
You should have been done in 7 hours 40.
Yeah. I figured I would, and I'd run, but I'd run fast on the road. So I was like, this is going to be a piece of cake. I'll be in quick. So I didn't think about lighting. I didn't think about lighting, and so that year was the fire course. It was out and back. And I got to the turnaround, and I was like, oh, shit, looking at my watch, knowing how fast I was going on the trail. And the only headlight I had was one of the, when you're at Kathmandu, sorry, further faster. I didn't know you then. And there's like those cheap headlights on the little torch headlamps.
We've all had them at one point.
Yeah, and they're only good for I don't know, between power poles on the street. That's all they're good for. Well, that was my headlamp, and it went dark, and I just ground to a halt, really. And then too, because I was out there for so long, coming into Okataina, which at that stage was the finish, I actually went blind.
You and Courtney DeWalter.
Yeah. And it's not like I'd been out there for 36 hours or whatever. No, 60 hours or whatever. It was only 14, but I lost
21 minutes.
Lost my sight. Yeah.
Was it hysterical blindness, or what was it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just terror.
Okay, I believe every word. That's fine. Yeah.
Well, there was a TV program about it, so.
That was a tough year.
It was.
Yeah.
And speaking of tough years and sort of changing the timbre slightly, I mean, you've been really open this year with us, and the impact that you've had an injury all year, and until recently you hadn't run a step for months. Now that you're returning to running, albeit slowly and not at, you just don't, how has it or has it changed your relationship with the sport?
Oh, definitely. And I'd say, returning to running is probably stretching it, but I ran 13 kilometres last week. like for the entire week, you know, and that included walking. So, yeah. It's changed because I've been a runner my whole life, and running was how I had, you know, got stress relief, how I, you know, coped with stress, how I, you know, went out and thought about nothing or thought about some problem that I was trying to solve. And without that, it's been really hard, and it's been weird because this thing that's causing me stress or that's causing me a problem and is making me wound up, the way that I would usually deal with that is to go for a run, and I haven't been able to. So it's been horrible, actually. Yeah, it's sucked, and you know, I've been open with you. It's part of the reason that I'm stepping away from Dirt Church. It's just for the last few months, it's been really hard. It's been really messing with my head. And, you know, it was part of the reason I just had to make a call, as tough as it was and as heartbreaking as it was, and it still is. It's hard. And for those, I mean, so I'm on this process of trying to get back to running. I won't be running as much as I was, ever. And I've had to accept that. I'm trying to find where I will be able to, you know, what's going to be comfortable that I can run, and whether I'm comfortable with that. And it's still, you know, it's still hard.
Because I guess there's that expectation, isn't it? Or it's almost us willing or coping with our kind of, you know, grief or frustration that you're losing a mate, you can't go running. That the second you start on that path to recovery, you know, that first 1 minute on, which, I mean, you almost need
It sucked. You need it. I was talking with Minnie about it earlier. It's like, you know, he made the very, very good point that usually that first minute of running, it always sucks, you know? And if you're doing 1 minute on, all you're getting is like, it sucked the whole time.
Sisyphus over here, just roll that boulder up the hill. You almost need, like, I'd like to propose like an injured runner flag, you know, because it's also like, people are like, oh, what's that guy?
I'll be doing it in the dark, don't worry.
Full camo.
With a bit of torch. No, I don't.
No torch.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, gosh, thanks for it. Do you? Yeah, it's the thing, isn't it? Do you ever get the sense that it will? I mean, I guess it's like an astronaut, right? It comes back, but it's never the same.
Yeah, for sure. Well, except it's not going to come back.
Well, it will come back, but it won't be the same.
Yeah, it won't be the same. It won't be anywhere the same. And it's just something I have to deal with.
Are you going to miss standing on the finish line of the likes of Tarawera for 20 hours straight, welcoming people home? Is that, how fond are those
wrong
memories?
Answers only. Wrong answers.
Yes. Look, I actually always found that super awkward. It's just I really enjoyed the camaraderie that we would have, that Martin and Ellie and you know, sort of bouncing off the other commentators and people coming in and stuff. But I always got super anxious seeing people coming across, thinking I'm going to screw up their name and ruin their race day. And so I just get super stressed, actually, doing that.
How long do you get from like the thing they cross?
No, hardly anything.
Like a second or 5 seconds?
And at Tarawera this year, wasn't it? There was no iPad. So you were having to read bibs. Like, and here comes Jane. Hello, Jane. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're dealing with, and I think that's the thing that people don't understand about commentary, is you're dealing with a multitude of different surnames, you're dealing with a multitude of different nationalities. I know that in Australia, we got as punished by the suburbs that people were running in, that they came from.
They were the worst.
Yeah, versus this, and then the Eastern European diaspora. Going over and, you know, you'd sort of start up.
Because you don't want to screw it up because it's, you know, a big day for people.
Just got to go up at the end of every Engadine, then you'll be right to Toowoomba.
Now you tell me. Yeah. So I've also stepped away from that, which I got to say, released a lot of stress.
You can crew me this year, which will be super stressful.
Oh yeah,
right?
that'll be super stressful.
So I'm going to be a hot mess.
Yeah. But I really did enjoy, what I enjoyed was just seeing lots of familiar faces and catching up with people, and which wasn't actually part of my, like, that's not what I was supposed to be doing. But I enjoyed that aspect of it. So I will miss that, but I guess, you know, I can just go hang out at the finish line.
You didn't look that excited to see me at 5:20 in the morning on the Sunday morning, I remember. That was a very tired Eugene, wasn't it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. We meant my best.
Yeah. Maybe it was me.
I think it was you. Yeah. No, you weren't at your best. No. Actually, those 5:20 in the morning are not too bad because there's only like one or two runners coming in. So you got time to go, is that Andrew? Is that Andrew? Is that Andrew?
Hobbling along, swearing.
No, it can't be Andrew. Look at him. Oh, it's Andrew. Okay.
Yeah. He should have been finished hours ago.
Surely he's finished. Hang on, I'm checking them. Oh, my God.
We get one, right? We've been hanging out with this dude for like years and years, and that's the one that we found, that we've known you, so we're going to dine out on that.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. There are actually plenty more, but yeah.
Your volley, sir.
Oh, I've just got one more. That was a nice tough one for you. If you had to choose the GOAT, gun to your head, Killian or Courtney?
Courtney?
Oh, okay. No hesitation whatsoever. Okay. I thought that would be harder, personally.
You asked.
Okay. Good to know.
Look, it's been an open secret amongst DCR listeners that in our 6-year relationship making podcast, you've strayed with other podcasts. And I won't mention the C word in this space. But in all seriousness, I mean, I'm a fan of your work, a real fan. Can you not to scoop you or drop anything? Can you tell us you're going to continue to make podcasts for your job? What do you got coming up in the next while, and what is exciting you in the podcast space? Because that's one thing that's sort of tied us together from the jump, is we love this medium.
Yeah. Next one out the gate is a podcast where Dr Inia, the writer, aged 80, has this year gone off to learn te reo Māori, and which I think is pretty remarkable. And we've been following him throughout the year, and we've got a podcast coming out early next year where we've followed his journey, which has been amazing to be part of that. And it's going to be sound mixed by someone else. Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. What else? I was in that Between Two Bears studio where the fragrance of Doug remained the other day. We're talking to them about a podcast called Long Story Short, where we take weird and wonderful stories, usually ones that we've kind of got some tangential connection to, and just tell the story of that story. So not just crimes, but also weird sort of history stories, because we're quite old. This is with my co-podcaster Adam Dudding, who we work together on the commune with. So we're working on that. Yeah, which should be quite fun. And a few other things that we're cooking up a couple, aren't we? So
I have to put up with you for a fair bit longer, I'd say.
Yeah, but these ones we pay you money for.
Yeah, that's true. It's quite difficult.
We don't
indentured servitude.
And we generally don't ring up crying, which we have done. Yeah. No, it's usually you ringing us crying. You go, what have you given me? Yeah. Anyway.
The commune was recorded during COVID, so they just had blankets over themselves while they were doing all the
We'd have fought
in like the children's bedroom and stuff, and there were kids screaming in the background. Yeah,
it wasn't ideal. Yeah, we were supposed to be going into Andrew's plush studio to record the voiceover, but COVID got in the way, so...
That's all right, we'll fix it in post, mate.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Duvet thought it was. Yeah.
Look, in my own special way, or annoyingly special way, does anyone out in the crowd have any questions that they have for Eugene? This is your last, or a statement, probably a question. Go up at the end. Does anyone have anything that they'd like to ask Eugene? This is your last chance. Could be anything journalistic.
Have a microphone on a beer bottle.
Yeah,
nobody. Okay,
no,
thanks.
And there's prizes in it, you savages. So who wants some swag? So get thinking. Anyone?
Maybe wives.
No. Yeah. Oh, Conrad.
Yeah.
What do you love the most about working with Matt?
Oh. Have we got another 4 hours? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the
SD
card's full, mate. Yeah.
We, as Matt said, we had a before Dirt Church Radio, we had a shared love of podcasts. We had a shared love of trail running, and we just kind of figured, let's make a trail running podcast together. And we really had no idea where that would take us, and where it's most pleasingly taken me is developing this amazing friendship with this guy who's smart, clever, funny, dedicated, and is really committed, as I mentioned, to the community of trail running. So I think his passion for the sport. Where have you gone, Conrad? There you are. is infectious, and I've just been truly honoured to be part of this crazy 300 friggin' episode journey with him.
You missed out deeply chaotic as well. So
I just stood on your noodles.
That's okay.
Does anyone
so
have a
sorry.
question for the good dog?
One more. It could be for both of you guys if you'd like. Of all of the finish lines you've ever been on, what have been the most memorable? And that could be in any kind of way you interpret that question.
You do one, I'll do one?
Yep.
Can I ruin it and say it's a start line?
Oh, yeah.
So the best sort of, and it's my favourite piece of Dirt Church radio audio ever, was when we went out to Lake Okataina at, like, we had to get up before we were like 1:30 in the morning or something ridiculous. We had to be up. You know, we're both very comfortable with each other and very chatty. I don't think we spoke for the first 2 hours. Like, we're in the car together and sort of barely acknowledge each other. And we went down into the car park at Lake Okataina, and all these runners came down, and there's all these headlights, there's this anticipation, and then the ropu do the haka, and they go off, you know, and it's amazing energy. And then it's just boom, just nothing going on, complete stillness, complete kind of, well, it was still dark, so it was as black as pitch, it was dark. And we went and stood by the Lake Okataina, and it was like, when I say stood by the lake, probably from here to the edge of this pallet away, and recorded this audio. And one of the things that Eugene's always on at me about is don't monologue, or don't, you know, like we have to kind of tell
That
us.
sounds so grumpy.
No, it's warranted grumpiness because, you know, see the chaotic bit. But we stood there at the side of this lake, you know, and we just had this amazing experience, and it was really inspiring. It was moving and all that sort of thing, and I just was like, I'm here with my best mate, and I'm on the side of Lake Okataina. No one else in the world is here right now at this point, and I get to do this, and it was just such a profoundly kind of, it was one of the best experiences that I've ever had, and it was just such a fleeting thing.
I was also, everyone was reeling because I had shushed Paul Charteris that same start line. So we were standing there. It was the countdown to the starting of that race. As Matt said, it was very, you know, it was, you know, the mist on the lake and the darkness, and it was beautiful. And the kai karakia said the karakia, and then he paused, and Paul Charteris went to speak. He grabbed the mic and went to speak, and I just bashed his hand out of the way because I could see the kaihotu of the haka was about to roar into it, and you did not want Paul Charteris talking over the top of it. And he sort of went startled a bit. And then afterwards, all the Iron Man stuff ran out to me going, "Oh my God, you shushed Paul Charteris?" Like, yeah, it needs must. What's my favourite one? It's still got to be the, what do you call it?
Oh, the glitter cannon to the face.
The glitter gun into the face at
Kosciuszko.
Has everyone heard that story?
Is it? You guys heard that story?
Goodness.
Right.
Yeah.
So Kosciuszko, you're looking down the hill at is it Perisher, Threadbow, and they're running down the hill, and there's bollards.
It was Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Sunday
it was getting
afternoon.
late.
We'd been up. It was hot. It was cold. It was thunderstorming. We're just punished at this point. And the race took far longer than anyone would have thought that it had, much like this story. But there's this woman turns up, and she's got like a roll. It's about that long. And it's like a rainbow thing. And I thought, oh, cool. It's either, is that a rolled up magazine, or is that a rolled up pride flag, or is it something? And it's really, really cool. It turns out you've all seen those gender reveal videos where the guy like shoots himself in the balls with one of those glitter cannons, and it was one of those. And she turns up and she goes, "Oh, my best, was it Debbie? What's her name? Deborah? My best friend Deborah."
Let's go with Deborah.
My best friend Deborah. She's been running, and this is how will we pick the story up?
33 hours deep or something. And she says to us two, who had absolutely no authority, "Is it okay if I just go and celebrate? You could just go over there by the gantry, by the finish line gantry, and welcome in my friend." And we were like, "Yeah, sure, no worries, help yourself." Without really thinking about it. And then she kind of like tucked in behind the gantry, hiding, And we'd kind of lost track of her.
We'd lost interest by this point.
Yeah,
you
we
can
were like,
see
yeah,
it,
sure.
but you can see the runners. Like you can see Debbie for a kilometre as she's coming down the hill.
Yeah, staggering along. She crosses the finish line, and our mate jumps out, bang, like in her face, point blank. Like point blank range.
Not a piece of glitter hit the ground.
No, it all went into her face. She would have been getting glitter out of her nostrils, probably still now. It was horrific, and she dropped to the ground. We thought we were going to be done for like homicide,
Aiding and
like
abetting a
party
murder.
to a crime because she died, and we were like, oh shit. All the Ironman staff are going like, how did she get there? What's going? And we're going, we don't know. Don't know. We're from New Zealand. We don't know. Don't look at us. Luckily, Debbie got up and laughed, and it was okay. And so we were allowed to leave the country, and we're never allowed to go back. But that was particularly memorable. But also, and I'm not going to name names, but there's a couple of people in this room who we've been privileged, absolutely filling our hearts, well, you included, to be there at the finish line as they have crossed the line, and for some of them it just meant an enormous amount, and you could see that, and to be able to be there and to share that with your mates, with maybe with people you only know through the podcast, or you know what it's like when you form those friendships on the trails that have depth and meaning, and so that's been a huge privilege.
Answer your question.
Yeah, just ngā mihi nui, Eugene. Pretty
Hold up.
amazing. 300 episodes is no joke, and from all of us, man, you'll be missed. I feel like you're the method to the madness. I'm sure it's going to continue, but we look forward to the next version of DCR. But yeah, thanks, Eugene. 300 is amazing. Cheers.
Yeah, what up?
Thanks for the wisdom. I thought I had a great question about what flavour of 2-minute noodles was the go-to, but Matt ripped that away from me, and I've been scrambling to find another question. But all I can really ask is, for someone who's about to embark on his first 100-mile race soon, how do I not shit myself? Because I'm terrified that's going to happen. That's my biggest fear. What else can I do?
2-minute noodles. That's a fair question, actually. The longer you go, the further your chances of you will shit yourself. My only advice is, like, even when I go at Riverhead and other stuff, like, I always carry toilet paper. I always have some toilet paper in the back pocket. I don't care. I have bombed a sock so many times, or like a buff or whatever else, or lost stuff on the trail, but I always carry toilet paper now. And yeah, on multi-day stuff, I take Imodium. It's not good for you, so preferably not. But yeah, good shitting, and hopefully embrace it, and just remember, take your shorts and your liners and that completely off. I know it's a hassle,
And your shirt.
I know it's a hassle, like putting it off your shoes and everything else like that, but and hanging it on a branch or whatever. But trust me, the consequences of not doing it are really good. Oh, the other one is the people that who won some of the That's It stuff. That is great. A tip for that is, like, not only is it good for, like, stopping, like chafing in your nether regions, but if you at the start of the race slip some of it down your butt crack as well, if you do shit yourself, it'll come out pretty clean. Too much?
Nah.
Hi, I just wanted to ask how you picked your 8 different ultras you're doing, because it sounds like you picked some pretty mad, weird ones to do that are hard to get to and things. Yeah,
I didn't really want to do some of them. To be fair, I sort of, this logistics is a huge part of this sort of thing, and like last year I did a lot of training and pre-training, and I picked some races, and I'd gone for the easier ones, and then there was one in Texas cancelled on us, and it was like, oh shit. So we had to go to the Grand that is quite notorious for being pretty tough. I mean, they have a third, generally, people drop out during the race. And then that meant that the only other race I could do to fit in South America was the Jungle Ultra in Peru, and there's no way in hell I wanted to do that, but that was the only one that would fit. So yeah, it didn't work out how you want. It was just a matter of fitting it in. And And that's why sometimes there was like 5 weeks gap between some races, and then other times there was 2 weeks. It was just the only way to make it all work. Yeah, trouble.
So, Inia, if we fast forward to point in the future where Kia Mau Kia Ora begins and you have your first intake of recipients and you've got a person in front of you who finally who signs up, and then they figure out what a stage race is, and perhaps they lack the confidence, the self-confidence, the self-esteem to maybe even tackle it. What are you going to tell them to flick that switch in their head to give it a go?
Well, that's why the whole scholarship sort of takes a year before they do it. Like we're looking at, and forgive my brain for being old, I still think in forms, like 6th form, 7th form, but I think it's year 12, 13 now. Is it? Yeah,
Look at me, I'm old. I'm older than you.
I was looking at people that would hopefully have like kids and stuff, like they could tell me.
Year 12 over there.
Year 12, okay. So what we're looking at is like picking up the kids in year 12. And it's about like helping them throughout the whole year. So as part of that, we help them with their training, with their running, but we'll mentor them on whatever they need help with, other social sides of things, schooling, whatever. So the fact that when they, in their final year, do the race, it doesn't come as a total shock. I think with most people, and people here will probably know, the first time you ever do an ultra is the hardest. And it doesn't really matter if it's like 50, 100 Ks, 100 mile. The first time you go out there is the hardest because it's the unknown. And I think with these kids, it's going to be the great unknown that's going to hurt them. But really, I mean, shit, an 18-year-old these days has got a hell of a lot more chance of finishing than my 50-year-old body. You know, it's just all upstairs. And that's what we're going to try and, mentally prepare them for. And in the end, if they don't finish, they still learn a lot. I mean, we place so much emphasis these days on finishing or succeeding, but if you don't finish something like this, you can't tell me you haven't learnt something about yourself. I mean, we can't always win when we go out. Like I've mentioned to these guys before and other times I've had a chat that I would literally love to show up to an ultra one day that just kicks my ass and I fail and I DNF. And touch wood, it hasn't happened yet, and I don't want it to happen this year, please. But I'd really love that because that would probably teach me more than the ultras I've done so far where I've finished. Yeah. So, they won't be thrown in the... No, sorry, scratch that. We will throw them in the deep end, but we will prepare them for that deep end.
And that's the important thing, isn't it, is that, and you've mentioned it before as well, that we are capable, all of us, everyone in this room and everyone who's going to be part of this are capable of so much more than you think.
Yeah, I've always thought, like, if you can run a K, and you think about it, if you can run a K, no problems, no injuries, whatever, you can do 10K. That's a fair enough. Like, most people think about that, that's fair enough. It's a multiple of 10. So if you think you can go out and run 10K, you can run 100. I'm not saying you're going to enjoy it, but you can do it. It's only a multiple of 10. And it's just the only thing that's going to stop you is your brain. I mean, I've seen people in these multi-stage races who are like in their 60s and, they just come across the finish line and there'll be guys, I've seen ex-soldiers from countries, who would line up all cocky at the start and they'll pull out because something's in them snapped. And then like some 65-year-old Japanese guy who carries his own foldable chair in the race. And that's a true story. We'll finish. This guy carried his own foldable chair with him just in case he wanted to have a break. So, I mean, it's all up in your head. At the end of the day, it's in your head.
How'd you stay motivated, or what was going through your head to motivate you during the races?
It's quite a good question, actually. Like, running for some cause motivates you a lot, and being a stubborn prick helps as well. But I was talking earlier with Eugene about this, and I found like the last race really hard, and I had to stop and think about it for a bit, and just actually stop and think, hey, stop being such a grumpy prick, because you're in like a really scenic part of the world that most people don't get to see. who don't get the opportunity to race in. And it was just the fatigue, I think, of like doing so many races. Like your body was just really getting tired. But at the end of the day, the motivation for doing it is like one, I'm a stubborn prick. And the other one was that you're running for a decent cause. And I think that makes a difference. My first ever ultra I did was, it wasn't called UTA at the time. It was like North Face in Australia. And I ran it for charity for the Christchurch earthquake fundraising. And it was my dad, who's passed away now, who signed me up for it and told everybody I was doing it for charity before I even knew I was. So good on him, but that's the way he was. But that, when you sort of got past that sort of 42 Ks and you've never gone further before in your life, that was the thing that keeps you going, because you're doing it for something more than just yourself. So I guess, you're not just letting yourself down if you fail, you're letting other people down, and that sort of motivates you quite a lot.
I saw on your Instagram recently that you bring back a gift from every country that you visit. What's the best thing you've ever brought back?
I've had some crazy clothes from South America. I brought back some South American dog coats for the dogs. And I thought that was the best thing, actually. Even though I've had some awesome gifts from people, I've recently taken up like making things as a hobby, because it's always good to make something with your hands. So I've started making knives and tools and things like that, and done a few courses. And a guy gave me a wicked gift at the end of Grand to Grand. But still bringing back the dog coats for the dogs, I think, was the best thing. There's a picture of them on my phone, actually. They look great.
Hey, Inia, was there like a catalyst moment in getting into the like multi-stage sphere? Like ultras are notoriously hard as they are. Like, what's the appeal of carrying all your kit on your back and making it 1,000 times harder? Like, was there like a, oh shit, I'm doing this? Or was it a gradual build up into like a cumulative mileage and supporting yourself along that?
No, I think it was one of those life moments where it's like, I don't know, I guess like a lot of young doctors, when I was younger, I was having a real horrible time. I spent a lot of time training. I thought I was going to come out and make a difference, and was sort of getting abused by work a little bit, and working sort of dangerous hours and stuff I shouldn't do in a rural hospital. And I sort of had like a mini breakdown, and life was crap. The usual stuff. And it's just like, what can I do to take my mind off this? And I started Googling shit in the middle of the night. And I came across Marathon des Sables at first. And they were talking about the toughest race in the world. And I was like, well, if you're going to go, bugger yourself, do something that's really, to bugger you. But I'd obviously missed the sort of intake for that. And then I sort of came across the Racing the Planet to do the same format. And I was like, yeah, why the hell not? What's the worst that could happen? And that was the sort of thing that made me sign up. So I don't know if that's the best advice to people, like when you're going through like, a really bad time to sign up for a multi-stage ultra. But when you're thinking like, okay, you could have this, there's all these things about rhabdo and like kidney shutdown and stuff. And I was like, who cares? I'll just sign up anyhow. So I did it in the middle of the night once, actually, on a night shift as an anaesthetic registrar. So,
do you reckon I should suggest that to people in my day job? You're feeling worse.
Well,
you think you're feeling bad now?
Yeah, you think you're going to get a hit and some really weird trippy shit out of drugs. Why don't you just go and run an ultra? You'd be fine.
All right. One more. Cool.
Sorry. With night shifts, do you think caffeine-fueled night shifts is the perfect prep for ultra training for a long run the next day?
Yeah, I run on caffeine and hate, and in my general life, and in ultras as well. Like literally, the nurses will send me up for a cup of coffee sometimes. They're like, Inia, go have a cup of coffee. And you're like, why? It's just like, because you really shouldn't have told that person to, okay, right. So it does build, yeah.
I guess the thing is, the trick, you're at the start of your night shift journey. The trick is to surviving night shifts, don't fucking do them. They're not good for you.
Yeah, if you can, don't don't do them. But if you do them fueled on caffeine and hate.
I have a question for Eugene. 2 questions, actually. The first one is, do you have a favourite child? And secondly, do you have a favourite child of Matt's?
Laundering the question. Yeah, no, and no.
But can I also ask, what are we now going to do on Sunday evenings now that you're not going to be talking to Matt for half the night?
We still are. We're just not doing the podcast.
Okay.
I was going to say probably breathing a sigh of relief, relaxing.
Oh, sorry. Apparently the answer is flowers and movies. So, thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.
And dinner. Thanks, Andrew.
But can I just quickly say, as your wife, how proud I am of you and how proud our entire whānau has been of what you've achieved with Dirt Church Radio. And I know this has been a really hard decision for you, and it's been a really hard journey for you through this injury. And I know that Matt has been so supportive and by your side. And Matt, I'm really glad that you've decided to carry on Dirt Church Radio too. So, I might even listen to an episode.
You've been on one and you still didn't listen to it. So I don't know. Who are we kidding?
Same with
Thank
Rebecca.
You.
Look,
thank you.
Yeah. It's going to be an awkward car ride home. And you hope you're not going to get the follow-up question around Point Chev, which is going to be, so who is your favourite child? Caitlin, with respect to your question, I'd like a do-over, if I may. My favourite finish line of all time with Eugene Bingham wasn't something that we were commentating. It was a race that we'd both set out to complete, and it was a race that we were both very excited about. It was at the very start of Dirt Church Radio, and it became Dirt Church Radio episode 20, and that was the second year we went down to Kepler.
Oh, yeah.
To do the 60K. And a lot of things happened that year. It was one of the first times I met Harry Kidby, dear and great friend. And
he proposed.
Not to me.
Not to us.
If you're interested, it would have been a hard yes, by the way. But, who proposed the next day, and that was wonderful. But I seriously came a cropper coming down Irisburn, and I remember I hit my foot on a root. And we've told the story a million times, but it's worth remembering that it's something that we both come back to quite regularly. And I remember being in the air long enough to remember being in the air and thinking, I'm going to really hurt myself when I hit the ground. I was expecting I was going to lose some teeth, I was going to get a head injury, whatever. And I slammed into all these rocks and sort of skid, jumped up like a cut cat, and then just took off. And Harry was with me, and I think I beat you down the mountain by 10 minutes or something like that. It was ridiculous, and it was just adrenaline.
Like I said, I'm a terrible trail runner.
And then we ended up sort of, Eugene stuck by me for another 10K, and I got my card pulled at, was it Rainbow? It wasn't, at Motodo. No, not Motodo.
Was it Rainbow Ridge?
No, that's the last one. Anyway.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The one before the Bluffs. And the aides, they're like, nah, you're done, son. Like, you are done. And we're going to give you a helicopter ride back to the control gates. And I was like, oh, shame. And then I ended up getting a helicopter. And then there was a dude next to me with a broken ankle. And I was like, shame, because I just hurt jacked my leg up, but it wasn't broken. It was just very, very sore, whole. And we hopped in the helicopter, and they took me to Invercargill. And they flew past the control gates, and I was being me. I just sort of sat there with my head down, and the paramedic actually handed me the iPad and said, can you fill out this guy's details? I went, no. And she went, bit weird, okay. And it wasn't until we got to Invercargill that they realised that I was a patient too, and they're like, well, what are you doing in this helicopter? It was partway through the trip that I realised that I had the car keys. But I didn't have my cell phone, which was in the car, which was at the control gates. So get to Invercargill Hospital, panicking, knowing that Eugene is going to finish the race and Eugene is going to come and get me. And I don't know how he's going to do that, but he is going to come and get me. And that's just the kind of, anyone who knows Eugene, that's the kind of guy he is. He would literally give you the shirt off his back. And that sounds really cliche, but that's true, and it's been proven over and over again. So I get to Invercargill Hospital, and I say, I'd like to discharge against medical advice, please. They say, absolutely, sir, you can do that. I say to Hannibal Hayes, I'd like to get back in your helicopter, and could you fly me back to the start? He's like, absolutely, we can do that. Let's go. Jump in the helicopter, fly back to...
Sir Hannibal Hayes.
Sir Hannibal Hayes, sorry. Fly back to the start line, basically get dropped off at Hannibal Hayes' house. It's got a helipad in it. Get in the car with the paramedic. She drives me back to the start line, and 10 minutes later, Eugene Bingham comes running across the finish line. And he did two things that I've only seen him do. One, he burst into tears, which I've never seen him do before, and an amazing hug. But the best thing was Eugene had a group of people that he had picked up along the way. He had a group of people who were having probably, you were having a day of it, Harry, it's fair to say. He had people who were injured. He had people who were trying to make a goal. And one of the things that you don't know about Eugene is his pacing is exceptional. He's got like a dial in the back of his neck. He just set a pace and just run forever. And that's really what stands out to me in all our relationships is just that's what the type of human being you are. You collect people, you sweep people up into your orbit, and you sweep good people up into your orbit because you're wonderful and you're caring and you're brave and you're strong. You're an inspiration. You're an inspiration to me, and you have been for the last 6 years. You're an inspiration to many people in this community and many people internationally, and you are the method to my madness. It's not all madness. There's a bit of method in there too. But yeah, Eugene, I just wanted to say thank you, and not to, kind of munter on too long, but please, everyone, give this man a round of applause.
I was just relieved he had the car keys. So. No, thank you. And that photo is on the Greatest Run Ever page if anyone wants to look at it at the on the website.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming along. Thank you, Inia. That was amazing. Kōrero, really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone here has appreciated it. We do have to do a random draw of who's going to win.
We'll do that offline.
Hey, this is great podcasting.
Yeah, true. It's an audio medium.
Yeah. If there's nothing we haven't learned over 300 episodes, it's how to do things off mic. That it makes for excellent.
Pick the Knox.
Knox! There we go. Congratulations. That's for the UFOS. There we go. Yeah. There we go. Thank you so much for coming along, everyone. And I look forward to being in the 600th show audience.